Today we have with us Dr. Lalit Bhushan Wagmare, the Vice Chancellor for Datta Mege Institutes of Medical Sciences, Varda. Very good morning, sir. Thank you
Morning.
for joining with us here for
Yeah,
our program Thoughts on Education.
yeah. Thanks a lot. Thank you for inviting me for this interview.
So coming to the first question, sir. You have held different positions in your educational institutes throughout the professional career. What are the key factors that helped you being connected with the sector?
Yeah, I'm in this sector for last 20 years. The most important thing to be connected is to have the proper knowledge of the sector. Secondly, you must have the know-how of the statutory frameworks which are governing the education system in India, like whatever are the rules and regulations from UGC, what are the rules and regulations from Distance Education Board or NCI. Now it is called as National Medical Commission or
NMC.
DCI. All these rules and regulations, knowledge of these rules and regulations, and following them to the core is what kept me in this particular sector for this much period of time.
Okay. Coming to the next question, sir. Being the Pro Vice Chancellor of DMIMS, how do you strategize about the key programs and marketing and administration of the institute?
See, the best marketing strategy is your end product. Basically, we concentrate on our end product, that is our student who is passing out of our institute, and we try to build a student experience which will help him grow professionally, personally, as well as he becoming a good national person. Who can contribute to the national growth or internationally promote India as a brand. So once we give the student experience proper attention, he himself becomes your brand ambassador for times to come, and he only is the person who markets us the maximum than any other this thing. But however, with the new area coming and new things happening in the field of education, and with this COVID and the boom of digitalization, I feel that digital marketing is the way which we can project our institutes via social media or via the aggregators like you or people who are into this particular domain. This is the new era of marketing, I feel.
Okay, coming to the next question, sir. You mentioned COVID, so I would directly like to continue from here.
Yeah.
In your insight, like, can you give us some insights about how institutes has changed its functioning from a regular way to the post-COVID way? What are
Harsh,
the differences?
I would like to brief you through this particular forum is that we were recognized as the best performing medical school by the National Medical Commission during this particular COVID era, because what has happened because of COVID, you can go do classes online, but you cannot teach skills for the students online. So what we have done over a period of last one and a half years is that we developed the modalities of delivering the skills to whatever extent possible. Like if you consider the skill component in medical school is maximum, and that skill component you cannot 100% replace a patient with any other machine, but we tried to develop virtual labs, we tried to develop virtual patient modules, virtual dissection modules, so that we could give our students at least 60-70% of what a real patient or real experience of the things are there. And that way we modulated ourselves. In fact, our didactic teaching, everything is gone online. The practicals also, we have developed certain labs where student can virtually perform in those labs and get the things worked out. Dissection is very important component of medical education, which we have taken online with the help of Anatomage as a tool. And all these things with standardized patients, with case scenarios, with virtual reality modules, we tried to compensate for the loss which was created because of they being not in presence of patients, real patients. And when they are back in the colleges right now, because of there is an unlock period which is working out, and now we are exposing them to maximum number of patients so that their whole curriculum is covered properly.
Okay, so sir, the other day, Dr. Ved Prakash, the Vice Chancellor, sir, mentioned that DMIMS was one of the best performing institutes in terms of the research that were published in the last year. So, do you think that it can be made mandatory for? Actually, it is mandatory for PG students, right? To
Yeah.
at least publish a research paper. Do you think that in the coming years we can see it is made mandatory for UG students as well, so that India can overall be a research leader in the medical field?
Yes, it should be made mandatory. In fact, I would like to brief you, Harsh. In our institute, it is mandatory for all undergraduate students to publish at least one research publication every year. So this we started from last couple of years, and as Dr. Ved Prakash Mishra sir has told you, we have topped in the COVID-related publications in last 1 year from India. We have more publication in Maharashtra. We are on the top. We have more publications than that those published in by ICMR, which is a patent body for doing research on COVID. And amongst the private institutes in India, we are second in the list. We are just below AIMS and PGI Chandigarh and one Savita Institute that is in Chennai. So we are fourth in the rank all over the country.
India.
And in Maharashtra, we have top. We have more publications than Tata Institute. Then we have more institute than more publications than KEM, BJ, all medical schools which are there in the country, in Maharashtra.
That's great to hear, sir. One of the premier institutes leading in research as well. We like only ways that the more number of research paper every year goes on increasing, and you keep topping in Maharashtra as well as India.
So our target next year is to have 3,000 publications. This year we completed 1,200 publications in a year in all reputed journals. We are not counting general publications. This year's target is 3,000 publications, and we are currently, I think, having 1,500 publications done by this month.
So we are we can only aim high and high.
Yes, and our wish is that by next 10 years that we should have 15,000 publications, so that every year is our targets, and we are progressing in that particular direction.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear, sir. So coming to the next question, the education systems in India and other foreign countries are structured very differently. In your experience, what can student gain by studying in your institute, which can help him in future, be it in India as well as foreign studies?
See, in our institute, what we have done is once the student enters the institute, we take his preference as to whether he wants to continue his education in India, further education or further professional career in India, or he wants to go to any European countries, or he wants to go to US. So there are basically people who are moving from medical sciences into either UK and Europe or in US. So there are two different patterns of education which are there in the country. One is Commonwealth countries where the education system is different, and US is a entirely different system. So we have divided our students at the time of entry only into three parts. Those who wish to go for the education in India are given training as to how they can crack PG examinations in those particular subjects, or some entrepreneur skills, or some professional skills, so that he is placed immediately as he passes out. Those who wish to go for US kind of education, then they are mentored by people who are dealing with US MLE or GRE or GMAT. So those people are mentored in that particular direction. And thirdly, those who wish to go to UK, they are trained in PLAB and licentiate examinations in Commonwealth countries. So this is our pattern. Apart from that, we have almost active international collaborations, more than 100 with various universities, right from University of Sydney, University of Chester, University of Arizona, University of John Hopkins. All these places we have an active MOUs for student exchange as well as faculty exchange initiatives. So students can get that experience during their study here, and they can prepare better for future life in those countries.
I think, sir, it is a very good initiative, and a very handful of colleges might be following this kind of initiative. So that's great to hear. One of the premier institutes actually dividing the students on the basis of what they want to like pursue, and then like providing them the correct guidance that is required for their targets.
They are mentored from beginning so that they are planned in such a way, because going to US they require 8 9 10 different certifications, which we try to complete during that period. Even our nursing students, for that matter, in the final year are given the training for English for nursing training is given, so that their English proficiency grows from IELTS score of more than 6, so that they are directly absorbed in UK as nurses. Not they don't have to wait anywhere in between. So we have MOU with that certain people in UK, that is British Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, and they sponsor their further placement there. They get a salary of around 3 lakh rupees just when they pass out of this institute in Indian terms when they go to UK.
That's a large amount of money, sir. For a fresher, getting such, and also the exposure which we can get there, like cannot be measured in terms of the money.
Yes, definitely they become a different individual altogether.
It also helps in the personality development as well. Not only you are building their academic and the on-site skills that are required, but also the personality development, I feel, is very good when you go outside.
Yes.
Coming to the next question, sir, could you give us some insights about how the institute can be more welcoming to the students from different races or economic backgrounds?
See, we have many schemes where actually we don't believe in any inequalities. We have many schemes for those students who are not affording the price of education which we have in our private institutes. Actually, if you want to give quality education, you will require some amount of spending, which is from which should be more than what is done in routine institutes. But for some deserving students, like last year what we had done was dental, anybody in first 1,000 rank was given free education by our institute. So there are schemes for people who are local people in Wardha. There are schemes for people who are economically backward classes. There are schemes for meritorious students. So one scheme which is called as APJ Abdul Kalam Scholarship Scheme, where student can get a scholarship up to 90% of his tuition fees. But again, there are riders that he has to have these many publications, he has to pass in that competitive examination, and there is an interview. It's a robust interview which is conducted by people from various background, like directors of Tata Institute or government institutes or chartered accountant Society of Chartered Accountants presidents. All these people are in the panel, which is an independent panel which decides how much scholarship to be given to that particular student. But yes, for deserving students, we have many free shifts and scholarship schemes where a deserving student can get his education sponsored.
At the lowest cost that institute can afford as well.
Yes, yes.
So coming to the next question, sir, what do you think are your roles and responsibilities to the institutes as well as students and the faculties as well?
See, you have asked 3 questions in one go. For institute, I want to grow this institute from category 1 institute to the Institute of Eminence. That is a very coveted tag which we wish to have in coming 3 to 4 years, so that we are in that. Currently, only 40 institutes, 40 universities are in category 1 deemed to be universities with NAC score of 3.53, and only 6 or 7 are in IOE, that is Institute of Eminence. So we wish to move from category 1 to Institute of Eminence as far as institute is concerned. For faculty, I wish to have many opportunities for them, so that during their tenure here they are not suffocated because they are not getting any international exposure, or they are getting stuck up at one particular place. So I want to give them as many as facilities which are there as any corporate group can provide for them. So that is my aim, that they should get all the benefits of a corporate life in education sector. This is my aim to develop for them. And for students, of course, I want to give them an experience of an international institute located in a place where Mahatma Gandhi spent all his time. That is Sevagram, which is hardly 8 kilometers from this particular place. But I want to give them an experience of an international institute, and I want that student to compete with the best universities in the world. Currently, also, if you see that for postgraduates from our side, there are every year there are at least 3 or 4 students who are cracking AIMS PG exams. Every year there are around 40 students who are cracking NEET PG examinations. So we are in that race, but I want to build their experience in such a fashion that they will not miss on internationalization of their education.
That's great to hear, sir. You mentioned you want to shift from type one of institutes to the esteemed ones. So coming from there only, I got my next question. So when you first came to TMIS Varda, what was your vision for the institute, and how far have you come in implementing those? And what are your future plans for the institute as well, apart from one you have already mentioned?
Yes. See, when I came to this institute was a medical college attached to a Nagpur University, Maharashtra University of Health Sciences. That time, we decided to make it a separate deemed to be university and make it one of the top deemed universities in the country. So I think I have come in last 20 years. We have walked along a very bright path, and we were successful in having NAC accreditation for 3 consecutive cycles in the highest bracket. So that is our achievement till now. But we have to keep on bettering ourselves. So my aim is for future we should continue going high up in the NAC scores. Currently, we are NIRF ranked 29th medical college, 14th dental college, and 61st university. So we want to go into under 50 for university, under 10 for dental, and under 20 for medical is our first immediate target. And futuristically, I wish to be in top 25 institutes in the country, as well as I want our institute to go higher up in QS and Times ranking, in the world ranking, where we should feature in first 500 institutes in the world is our roadmap for next 5 to 7 years.
Okay, sir. The other day, Dr. Ved Prakash also mentioned that the council, the National Medical Council, has given permission to the deemed universities that you can have like 5 campuses
Yes.
with you. So I think there is only one campus for your DMMS Nagpur. So can we in the coming years can we see more number of campuses from you?
Yes, definitely. There is a campus in Pune in the offering. We have just submitted our proposal to start campus in Pune. We are also venturing into one joint venture in Mumbai, but I don't know whether it will be a part of deemed university or it is a standalone institute. But the promoters will be the same. So we will be having a campus in Mumbai, and very soon you will hear a news that we have a offshore campus either in Dubai or in UK. So they are in pipeline, but Dubai, UK, I cannot guarantee how much duration, but definitely that is in the pipeline. Our Pune campus is already on. We have just started building the hospital permission. We have got that 350 bedded hospital. We have started. Now we are about to start the process for starting a medical college there in Pune.
So, sir, do you think in the COVID times we have seen that India faces the per person how many number of doctors are there? So it comes to be very small when compared to the other countries. So do you think that in the coming years we can see a large number of institutes growing up and growing up to the expectations of the world, that India is capable of giving not only the India but also the world enough manpower in the medical field?
Yeah, currently, if you go by WHO ratios, we are having one doctor for 1600 population, and that too mostly situated in the urban pockets, very low percentage in rural pockets. And if you compare specialists, then one specialist like pediatrician or general medicine
Surgeon.
consultant, surgeon, all these people are 1 as to 2400 is the ratio. Our first target is that we should have 1 as to 1000 ratio for number of doctors and 1 as to 2000 ratio for super specialists is the country's first ratio. For that, India needs at least 300 more medical colleges to meet India's own need. But if you compare the world's need, because again, if you take the global scenario, only Brazil, India, Russia, China, and South Africa are going to be the health manpower provider for the world. So if we take off India's need for international need for health professionals, then we need to have at least 700 new medical colleges in the country. And as our university, as DMIMS, we would be contributing to some manpower, whichever is permissible in that particular thing. At the same time, we have to also remember that we just cannot have the quantity, we will have to have the quality as well. So our focus will be, we should be able to create at least 4 or 5 new medical colleges during this period, and they should be very, very quality centric, not as any other institute where there are no patients or there are no workload or no teachers. I don't want to go into that scenario.
Okay, sir. In India, we as we have large number of population, we do have a different kind of patients, like a variety of the patients or a variety of the diseases. We can not diseases, but variety of exposure the students get in India on the patients is very high when compared to the other countries.
Yes, yes.
So, which also gives us the opportunity to get more research, but in the research we are still lacking when compared to the foreign universities. Could
See,
you give us some insights on that?
problem is that research is never the was never rather the priority of Indian population, because we were firefighting for clinical services. If a doctor comes, he has to see a number of patients. He cannot spend his time in writing papers and research. But that culture has to go somewhere, because it was a culture, it was a compulsion of that time. But this time around, if you see, I'll just give you a parallel. If you see Bollywood heroes of past years, they will be either good looking or they will be either bodybuilders.
Yes.
They will not be mix of both. But now the new generation Bollywood heroes, if you see, they will be good looking, they will be good dancers, they will be good fighters. Everything all in one is required. So new generation of Indian doctors have to be good in clinical services, have to be good in extracurricular activities, also have to be good in the research work which they are doing. So now awareness has started coming, and I think we are one of the very few universities who have taken this initiative, that from the very beginning, or from the first year, that student has to have some research contribution to the society. And if this habit happens, then over a period of time you will see India is doing wonders in number of publications. It is just a matter of time. If like-minded people like us do work on these activities, then things can work magic, I feel.
So from this, we can see that India being superpower in the 21st century would really be true. In the coming years, we feel that. Coming to the next question, sir, what do you think are the greatest strengths of DMIMS Varda?
See, my greatest strength is my student experience. And my second greatest strength is that I deliver quality of teaching and quality of research. So these are two strengths which I would say are my strengths. I want my student to have the best of the experience, so that in any situation he will not flumble, or he will not have any situation. If he is posted in the rural area, he will be happy. If he is posted with the best scientist in the world, he will be competing with them. So that is the best. Student experience is my forte, and quality of education is my second best thing which I can say.
I had designed one question, sir, but I think you already answered that. The plans the DIMS has for the international affairs and for the students. So I think you already answered that.
No, for international, I have some good plans for students, that now with National Medical Commission permitting electives in medical education, we plan to have at least one elective outside India for all the students who are admitted in our university. So that is our plan. Actually, we are speaking, we are in serious talks with few of the universities where they can have certain programs as under observership and electives with them, at least for a period of 1 month during their tenure as MBBS programs. So this is our immediate plan for our internationalization of our education.
Okay,
And
that is great
believe
to
me,
hear.
that will not cost anything extra to the student. We will be we are planning in such a fashion that this particular elective of his would be sponsored by some or the other research under some research activity.
Okay, so sir, do you think India also lacks like spend less on the research? That might be the one of the reasons that
Yes.
we don't have enough research coming out of India.
See, this COVID has opened a lot of eyes of every policymaker that whatever we spend on research is such a minuscule amount that we don't even stand a chance in front of. Even Singapore, a small country like Singapore, spends 40 times more on research than what we are spending right now. So that with this COVID coming and we lacking the research infrastructure to the desired level. Of course, we had doctors to take care of the COVID scenario, but the research wing was really not at par. So with that coming, the mindset has changed. ICMR is planning to open 20-25 new centers in India so that the research is strengthened in the medical field. I am very hopeful that this government or the policymakers in the government are looking at this as a big challenge, and they are allotting lot of funds for that particular activities. And in the years to come, we will see a drastic change in the budget allocation for research over a period of time.
Okay, so coming to the next question, last but not the least, any suggestions that you would like to give to the current youth and aspiring students?
I would suggest that they what happens is with this digitalization and because of the COVID, they are at home and doing very less physical activities and confined to their own world. But I would advise, or I would request them not to lose heart, give their best, because the worst time in the centuries we have already seen. So anything moving forward is going to be good only, and keep a positive attitude. I am sure everybody is working hard to gain good scores. My advice to them is keep the positive attitude and face the examinations with open mind, without any stress, without any distress. You will get what you want in your life, is my advice.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir, for joining with us today, coordinating with me for 2 to 3 days, and like scheduling the interview. Thank you so much for joining with us and giving such deep insights about the institute and in the medical field in general as well. So thank you
Thank you
for
so
that.
much, Harsh, for giving us the platform, and I wish you all the best too for your site and everything. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much, sir.